You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio, man. We are here once again. Today, we have another show lineup for you. We're going to catch up with an old good friend, Miss Summer Day. She's the one that put on the amazing event, man, Fear into Faith Live. And guess what? It's happening again this time, July 29th, 30th, and 31st. It's going to be an amazing event, and I don't want any one of y'all to miss it because we're going to not just talk about what Summer Day has been up to, but we're also going to recap what happened the first time that they made this amazing event come to life. So further, I just want to welcome Miss Summer Day to the show and say, how you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. It is so great to be here with you. I am excited. Thank you so much for having me on here. I love everything that you guys are doing.
Man, it's our pleasure to have you back on the show because you're doing big things. You're not just an international speaker and success coach who help women around the globe shift fear into faith, but you also just motivate people. You give them that fresh air, that new perspective, and that's what's needed, especially in times like right now. This is a perfect situation for people to get something new, something fresh in their life. And tell us all about this event, Fear into Faith. And once you do that, man, we're going to explore a little recap, highlights of what y'all did the first time it came about.
Yeah, sure. So it's called Fear into Faith Live, and it is an all women's event. It's open to age 16 and up. I have to tell you, last year it was a 2-day event and it went off so well that all of the women were like, it's got to be longer. It's got to be longer. So we're doing it 3 days this time. We have about a dozen different speakers that will be there. We're having some incredible panels. We're kind of trying to cover all different kinds of topics that women would enjoy hearing. So there's optional panels like on parenting, just giving, biblical parenting techniques, lots of Q&A there. We're also going to be having an intimacy panel, opportunity for women to kind of talk about some of those things. We also have a singles panel this time because some of the ladies, that aren't married, they wanted a panel just for them. So we're doing that as well. We got some speakers coming back that we had from last year, and then we have some new speakers this year that I'm really excited about. Especially we have the incredible anointed Dr. Clarice Fluitt. If any of your listeners don't know her, she's been a prophetess for over 50 years. She's 82 years old, and she has preached, prayed, prophesied all over the world for decades. And so we're super excited to be having her be a part of what we are creating at Fear into Faith. And I kind of tell women, they're like, oh, it's a Christian women's conference. I'm like, yes. And it's a little bit different. It's a very interactive experience where we have opportunities for ladies to, be getting out of their chair, doing activation exercises that help to anchor in the things that they're learning. We don't want them to just kind of sit and we talk at them for 3 days. This is a very interactive experience. We're going to have some performers. We've got some worship dancers, flag dancers, ballet dancers, all kinds of different things to make this just a really exciting experience to be a part of and radically shift women out of fear and into faith. And I'd have to say, what's really shifted in the last year, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, is God's really given me the vision of how important it is to help his people crush fear, how important it is for us to shift out of fear and into faith. I mean, fear is, I believe, the number one tool of the enemy that is crushing God's people. And it's time for us to rise up, and it's time for us to take back that territory. And so we're really focused on helping women to become what we call fear crushers and teaching them, what does the Bible say about fear and what does God say about fear? Because, in 2 Timothy 1:7, it says God didn't give us a spirit of fear, right? But of power, love, and a sound mind. He didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And everybody knows in this post-COVID world we live in, fear's just been crazy. It's been crazy everywhere. So I know that this event was made for such a time as this, and is so important to give women tools and skills and techniques, specific ways that they can break from the bondage of fear and be set free, so they can help their children to do that, their spouse to do that, their community to do that, the business they work at to do that. We're really trying to arm God's people to then go out and help others to crush fear. Because when you can crush fear, my friend, that is when you can become an unstoppable force for God. And I believe if you're listening to this, God's calling you. That's what he's calling you to be, is to become an unstoppable force for him in this world we live in.
Once again, listen to Refocus Radio, talking to the one and only Summer Day, man, catching up on good times and this amazing event, Fear into Faith Live. You can go to the website, fairintofaithlive.com. And man, you want to mark your calendars, because I'm telling you, this is an event in San Antonio you do not want to miss. That's July 29th through the 31st. And man, you said it, crush fear. And I think we can dive into that, because, when you go to the website and fairintofaithlive.com, you see the statement right there. We are going to get down to the deep roots of what is holding you back, so you can break free and move forward into the dream and vision God has placed into your heart. Now, fear. How many times has fear hold us back? I mean, that's something that is normal. It happens, but it's also something that we can fix. And someone listening right now, maybe they have fear in their life right now. I mean, who doesn't? We've been through a lot lately. All of us, through our different circumstances, are fighting battles that a lot of people don't see, but we have gone so far. But how can we move on from fear and not allow it to keep us trapped inside?
Yeah, so good. And that's what this event is. We want to give you the how. We want to give you tools and things that you can do right that minute to start shifting the way you speak, to start shifting the way you see the world around you, to start shifting the way that you show up, so you can walk as that faith-filled woman of God that you desire to be. So I just have to say, if you've been in that space where you're broken, lost, hurting, or whatever, and you just don't know the way out, get here and let us love on you and give you the tools. And also, somebody asked if it's just for women, who are walking in a lot of fear. I said, no, this event was powerful last year. If we want to talk about last year, one of our favorite testimonies coming out of the event was a woman who kind of came last minute with a friend, and she's been working in ministry and deliverance ministry and some stuff for 12 years. And she said that this event was the absolute best women's event she ever went to, that filled her up with so much Holy Spirit fire that then she was able to go out and do the ministry work she's called to at a higher level. And so this also event that we just want the women leaders of the San Antonio area to be able to come out and have a place where they can get filled, because ministry work and worship and all that stuff, it can take a lot from a person. And so this event is also that opportunity to fill your cup back up and get you to be strengthened and stronger to go out to what God's calling you to do as well. And so that was one of my favorite testimonials that came out of last year.
And with the whole talk about shift, let's focus in on that one. Because in order to shift from fear into faith, break that down for the listening audience, because that sounds like who wouldn't want to do that? But I'm sure there's some steps that we have to commit to for that to even work.
It's a really great question. And I'll tell you, I have a thing called the Fear into Faith formula. That's the very first training that I teach on the very first day. It's about an hour-long training. So if I'm going to sum it up into a couple minutes, I'll just tell you that we start with the root is the Bible. And we start with how many times fear is mentioned in the Bible. And, they say it's 365 times that fear is mentioned in the Bible, as in like, do not fear, be strong and courageous and do not fear, all of those things. And then it's also said that if you add in like doubt, worry, or tremble, that fear, doubt, worry, or tremble, God telling us don't fear, don't doubt, don't worry, don't tremble, it's over 600 times. And so it's hundreds of times in the Bible where God is mentioning not to fear. And so, yes, we have a whole formula that we break down of what you can do in the moments when you're feeling fear, right? Because we're going to feel the fear. And we're going to teach you how to be courageous, because being courageous is really, it's feeling the fear and choosing to do it anyway. It's moving forward one step at a time. And what people don't realize is that's really all it is. There's performers in the world. I used to be in the performing world, and there's Broadway stars, and there's rock stars that are still, after decades, actually afraid to perform, actually, have the fear of being on stage. It's crazy that they went into that career, and they still, like, backstage, there'll be a bucket in case they throw up before they go out on stage. Like, they still feel that fear and they choose to do it anyway. And so those are the tools that we're going to talk about is, okay, how can you shift in that moment powerfully, and what can you do about it? And like I said, it's an hour-long whole process, and we will definitely deliver that right straight on day one.
I've been talking to Summer Day and about this amazing event that's happening July 29th through the 31st right here in San Antonio. Go to the website. She has a website herself, summerday.com. But the event website, fairintofaithlive.com, you have a great lineup of women that are going to be speaking at this event. Break that down because you're not just doing it for the 29th. You're doing it for the 29th. You're doing it for the 30th and the 31st. Yeah. How's the event going to be broken up with all the different speakers that you have? And what are some of the things that the audience can expect to experience when they go?
Yeah, as I said earlier, last year it was our first event. And if I can just, backtrack really quick from last year and the way the event came about, if you don't mind me sharing that, and then I'll get into this year. So last year, the event was because I had finished reading the Bible cover to cover in 2020, right after COVID had hit and everything. And I felt like God said, that's great. Now do it again and hit your goal. Because my goal had been to read it cover to cover in a year, and it had taken 2 years. And so he was like, do it again. This time hit your goal. And so I negotiated with God. I don't know if any of you listening have ever tried to negotiate with God. And I said, well, what if I can get 5 friends to do it with me? How is that? How would that be? And I felt like God's like, oh yeah, go ahead and do that. So I did a Facebook Live, and I asked if I had 5 friends that would want to read the Bible with me cover to cover in a year. And to my surprise, I had about 20 women saying yes, raising their hand before I was done talking. And then they shared my video, and there was 200 women that first day. And then over the course of just 2 weeks, there were 6,700 women in a Facebook group to read the Bible cover to cover in a year. And after totally freaking out, because I had never even been in a Bible study, I didn't know how to, lead a Bible study. And I'm sitting there, kind of like Moses. Moses was like, I can't lead the people. I stutter and I'm not well spoken. And I'm like, I can't lead this, Lord. And after he kind of picked me back up off the floor and gave me a vision of, yes, I've chosen you for this for a specific reason. And he really wanted me to encourage people. We had 6,700 women, and he said, not all of them will finish. Really, really want for you to do is champion them, cheerlead them, and get as many across the finish line as possible. And so that's what we did that whole first year. And he gave me a vision right in the beginning. He gave me a vision to have an event at the end of the year with multiple female speakers to encourage and empower, and also to finish reading the last couple paragraphs of Revelation out loud together. And so at the event last year, maybe about a quarter of the women there had been women that had finished our Bible study. We also did a virtual ticket because with COVID, we had women in other countries that if they could have gotten out, they would have come to the event. We have women this year, like my friend Karen is coming from the UK because she can this year. She didn't get to come last year. And so they got to Zoom in and then read Revelation out loud. And so that's kind of how the event started. And when I spoke to you last year, I knew that was kind of what we were going to do. And we had some great speakers lined up. We still didn't know how would the event go. And I have to tell you, the reason we're doing 3 days instead of 2 is it was just 2 days of beautiful, incredible Holy Spirit fire falling on these women in all different walks of life. Every speaker that spoke, we just all leaned in, we were like on a ride going, what is God creating? This is just unreal. It was very special. You could just feel it in the room. We had a last second altar call. I was about to close and God's like, do an altar call. I'd never done an altar call in my life. And I'm thinking, okay, put the words in my mouth, Lord. And we had women that came forward and even accepted the Lord. And it was just really powerful. And I have to say, like, we have women flying from Scotland, from the UK, coming from Canada. So these San Antonio women, I'm like, you have no idea the distance that people are traveling, that even they saw it on Zoom last year and they're like, man, I got to get in the room. I got to get in the room because we want to be able to love on you and pray for you and, lay hands on you and interact with you, go to lunch with you, like all the things. And so these women are flying from that far. So I really hope your San Antonio listeners understand, like, man, this is just in your backyard. You don't have to pay for the hotel. You don't have to pay for the flight, and you can come and get what's going to be in that room for you. And so we've added sort of more panels this year. We've added more speakers this year. We've added a whole day this year because of what God created last year. And I'm excited. As much as I have an idea of what the speakers will speak about, we also know, man, this is like a Jesus take the wheel moment for the event. As I said earlier, Dr. Clarice Fluitt, she's going to be speaking, and she throws down so much fire every time she opens her mouth, which is incredible. We have a new speaker this year also, Desiree King. I don't know if y'all know Desiree King. She is like the female Les Brown, man. She owns the stage. She rocks the stage. I saw her at an event and Holy Spirit just said, go. And I went after her and I said, I know you don't know me. I don't know you. I have got to have you on our stage in July. She was a pastor for a couple of decades, and she just gets in the zone. And I know great things are going to come when she shares. And she's got one of those stories similar, kind of like to Les Brown. Like, she's got some stuff in her past that she has walked out of, and she's just incredibly inspiring. And so she'll be there. Another great thing that we had last year is, we created our own Bible study journal. I don't know if I got to share that last year. It's we had something we were trying to follow, 6,700 women reading the Bible cover to cover. I'd found this book that kind of shared, hey, read this week, and here's some questions to ask each week. And we kind of followed that. And on week 5, it jumped to Matthew. And all the women are like, okay, so we jumped to Matthew. And God was really clear with me. He's like, no, cover to cover, like every other book, cover to cover. And so I said, we'll just find another Bible plan to kind of follow. And we looked all over Amazon and we could not find a women's Bible study journal that went through the Bible cover to cover. So we ended up creating one, and we called it Fear into Faith. Fear into Faith, 52-week Bible study journal for women. And it leads women through the Bible cover to cover in a year. And one of the things that God asked me to put in there was weekly inspiring stories to encourage and uplift these women. Because for me, when I read the Bible, it's the stories really that I latch on to. It's the, the story of Moses, the story of Esther that I love. And so we included 52 stories of women that had shifted out of fear and into faith to inspire the women along their journey with reading the Bible. And we have a lot of women finishing, and they already have signed on to next year lead people. We had a lady who did it last year, and she ended up leading over 1,500 women in her group reading the Bible this year. And so that's what we're doing. And we're launching a new journal, because I told them, well, I don't want to make them go through the same journal. So we'll launch a new journal this year. And that journal is called A Year of Miracles, because this year the theme is we've included stories of miraculous healings in there, really powerful stories of miraculous healings that'll encourage and inspire and uplift the people as they're going through the Bible. And I guess I should mention, we are starting on August 1st. So we'll be starting a new group reading on August 1st. So any of your listeners are totally welcome to be a part of that, and to join people from all over the world, to stay in community, to stay encouraged, to get it done. We have a lady named Karen who she said for 58 years, she had been trying to read the Bible cover to cover. and had never successfully done it. And I'm happy to report she's been a part of year 2. She's about to finish it for the second time in a row. And so that's the roots of Fear into Faith and kind of how it started. It started with one Facebook Live asking for 5 friends to read the Bible cover to cover. And we've just been blown away of what God's done and how we have thousands and thousands of people over the world. I say people because I didn't tell you the men's version came out. We had all these women who are like, oh, would you please do a men's version? We want to, do the Bible study with our husbands. So we actually had the Fear into Faith men's edition, where my pastor from my church helped me to cultivate some of the journal questions to be specifically related to men. And so the men's version came out. So we have men doing the challenge now as well. And this Year of Miracles one is open to men, women, kids. We have parents that are leading their children through the Bible study. It's just really exploded, and it's been kind of crazy. And we feel like God's really commissioned us on a mission now to get 1 million church-going Christians to read the Bible cover to cover in a year. So that's kind of the focus of our family and what we feel the really big calling is on our life. So this Fear into Faith event is the culmination of year 2 and coming together. And probably will be the same thing. About 25% of the women in that room will be women that have finished reading the Bible with us this year, which is really, really neat. So that's kind of the heart of what we're about.
Listen to Refocus Radio, talking to Summer Day. And man, if you listen to this, man, it's just a teaser. It's just a teaser for July 29th through the 31st. Once again, go to fearintofaithlive.com, get your tickets, get, your friends, get your family, and just go there, because this is not a religious thing. This is a personal thing, because we get caught up into the religious part of being a Christian. But this is more of a personal relationship with God. We got about 4 minutes left. When you take that into context of it being a personal relationship with God, what's some of the things that you encourage, not just be empowered, but to be inspired to transition from fear into faith?
I love that you said that about the personal relationship, because it's really true. We've had a lot of women that, they feel like they kind of were burned by the church, or they were hurt by the church. And I love that you said that, because it's not about church. I believe that while I've traveled all over the country, if y'all don't know my story, God told us to sell everything, pick up our mat and walk. And we actually have been RVing around the country for almost 2 years. So I've seen a lot of different churches all over this country. And what I've realized is, well, church is just run by flawed sinners like the rest of us. They're just run by humans who make human errors. And unfortunately, humans can hurt people. And so part of what we do, and we chose not to have our event in a church, is we just want to love on people. We want to love on these women. We want to help them to have that personal relationship with God that doesn't have to be found in the walls of the church. We want to help them have the personal relationship with God that's found on the pages of His Word. We want them to look for the answers about God in His book, instead of, necessarily from the pulpit or from the mouth of a pastor. And I'm not knocking pastors. Pastors are amazing. They do some heavy lifting that I think people don't ever really kind of realize. And also we're just charged to do it for ourselves. It wasn't very long ago in this very country that even women weren't really educated very often. The boys were sent to school, not the girls. They weren't taught to read. We also wasn't very long ago in this country where you were considered pretty wealthy if you even owned a Bible, if you had one family Bible passed on from generation to generation. And we are so privileged to live in a time where we can get our own copy of the Bible. We can get multiple different versions of the Bible. And so I just encourage people, even if they're listening, they'll believe in the Lord, to read the number 1 book that's ever been produced for yourself. Don't take anybody else's opinion of it, and see what God has for you. And that's what the event's going to be about too, is really, I love that you said that, personal relationship and seeing what God has for you. And also community. COVID has kept us really isolated. And a lot of the women that come our way, they don't have community. And I got to say, time and time again, women that went to this event last year, they were shocked. My 91-year-old grandma came and she said, I've never been around a group of women where I felt so accepted and so loved so quickly. And that is what we want as well. We want women to be able to show up and feel like they're in a real safe space. And another reason why that's just really important to us is because I didn't mention this, but we also raised money for trafficking. That's one of the things that God said is keep the women in a community and then rally people around a cause. And the cause we chose to rally around was trafficking. And I don't know if you know this, but in our first year, we ended up raising $178,000. That Bible study group of women, and through the event, we raised $178,000. We also had several trafficking survivors at the event. And that's one of the things that we're doing this year as well is we have a lot of free tickets that we've given away to trafficking survivors so they can be there and they can get tools to help them to continue to shift and grow where God has them. And then to continue to raise funds for frontline organizations that are doing the legwork of rescuing women and children out of trafficking. That's a big thing of what we got to do as well with this Bible study, which has been unreal.
Talking to Summer Day and this amazing event that's going down in San Antonio, July 29th through the 31st. You can go to their website, fearintofaithlive.com. Man, I'm telling you, it's just a teaser what we're doing. This is just like, it's like a little sample that you get at a grocery store. But if you want the real deal, you have to actually go to the whole event yourself to experience everything. So I know you have something special for the audience. They have a number that they can text, but it's a limited amount of people. Explain that a little bit about what you're giving to our audience today.
Yeah, we were super blessed this year to be able to actually have a bigger venue, which is really, really neat. And so I just would love to give away just a handful of some actual free tickets to your listeners that, maybe they've been listening and they're struggling and they're like, man, I'd be there in a heartbeat if I could get a free ticket. And so we wanted to give away to 5 winners a 2-pack because I'd like them to be able to, bring their sister, bring their mom, bring a friend, come and experience it together. So we're going to do that for the first 5, and we're going to have them text the word faith. So we're going to have them text the word faith to the number 310-349-3755. And once again, it's text the word faith to 310-349-3755. And I just want to say, for those of you, who don't win and you're on the fence, you don't know who I am, you don't know who anything. I just pray that the Holy Spirit just really speaks to you about not missing out on this really powerful experience that is right in your backyard. Everyone asked me, why in the whole country did you have it in San Antonio? And I said, God just said San Antonio. It was the only place he spoke to me last year and this year, that there was just a reason that we were here. And it could be the person listening right now. You're the reason we're here, to pray for you, to give you these skills so that you can have the relationship with God that you want, so you can walk in the level of faith that you want. If you've been praying to walk in the miraculous miracles, signs and wonders and see those things, then I really urge you to take a leap of faith and come to this event. We had women last year who, they heard the radio thing like the day before and they jumped in and they came. And if you watch our promo video, you can see their testimonies of what God created. So I urge you to go to our fearintofaithlive.com and look at the testimonial videos and see for yourself, because I believe God has something for you if he's aligned you to be listening to this today.
We've been listening to OmniFocus Radio, talking to Summer Day, and I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this awesome event, Fair Into Faith Live. Go to the website, fearintofaithlive.com. This is going to be the best event in San Antonio on July 29th through the 31st. And just so the audience know, if you don't win, if you're not one of the 5 people that wins those 2 tickets, that's all right, because that means you can step up and you might be able to sponsor another person, to another woman, to go to the event, because they have a little button that says sponsorship that you can click on. There's an option when you check out. So I encourage someone listening, if you feel like you want to sponsor another woman to go to this event, to go ahead and take that challenge, because sometimes faith is about stretching, and we just got to stretch ourselves and not get too comfortable. So before we go, Summer Day, is there anything you'd like to tell the audience?
I feel like I just kind of want to shake them a little and just say, you were made on purpose. The Lord made you on purpose. He knit you together on purpose and with purpose for such a time as this. And I'm just charging God's people to step up, to crush fear, the number one enemy of the Lord. That is what Satan uses against us to keep us in bondage, is fear. And so I am just asking you to get to the event, to learn what you get to learn, to crush fear, to move forward, to take territory back from the enemy, and to not just be a spectator. We get this one life, and we are living in the craziest of times. And so come to this event. Let's get you armed with tools to go out and make a radical difference for the kingdom.
Fear Into Faith Live, Women's Conference, July 29th through the 31st. And I want to say real quick, if you forgot already the number that you can text the word faith to, you got to be one of the first five to be able to win. So that number again is 310-349-3755. Again, that's 310-349-3755. And you have to text the word faith. And that will allow you to maybe be one of the 5 people. And if you are, you'll be able to receive 2 tickets to this amazing event. I want to say thank you to Summer Day, taking time in your schedule, talking to I'm Refocused Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. I'm so grateful. Thank you for believing in what we're doing. Thank you for supporting this ministry work that we think is just so pivotal, in the world we live in. So I just appreciate you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your belief in and your heart for what we're doing. Thank you.
And thank you as well. Once again, fearintofaithlive.com. Go there today. Don't put it off. Don't wait till next week, because I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. There's going to be an amazing event on July 29th through the 31st. For more information, you can go on FocusRadio.com and check out this episode with Summer Day. But better yet, just go directly to fearintofaithlive.com.
I Am Refocused Radio is brought to you by Foo 4-Star and Holy Crab. Foo 4-Star is a family-owned Asian restaurant in San Antonio, Texas. We have been a local favorite for Asian cuisine for over 10 years. With nothing but full smiles and fast service, you'll be leaving satisfied. Come on in for some authentic Vietnamese food. Holy Crab is one-of-a-kind Cajun Creole-style seafood restaurant located in Universal City, Texas. We offer traditional seafood items as well as chicken and steak. We also offer seafood boils. Come give us a try. You won't be disappointed. You can find these 2 eateries in Universal City, Texas at 2921 Pat Booker Road.